everyone, my name is Giovanna Proença, and today we're going to talk about Picasso painting of freeCodeCamp, the part of responsive web design. So this will be the final part of our code. Okay, we're going to build this page where we're going to work with HTML, creating the divs for each format here, and also using CSS to create these colors, this format, to use these icons as well. All right, so this project will be pretty interesting. All right, so let's start. Like I always mention in every video that I record about freeCodeCamp is that you should do this project once you already finish the previous ones, because here we're going to use the concepts we learned so far and we're going to learn some new things as well. So it's really important that you already did the previous projects, all right? So let's start. Like we know, every time we're creating a HTML file, we need to use this doc type HTML to tell our browser that our page will be structured in HTML. We need the HTML tag and we should set the language to English to tell that our content, our page is in English. And we have the head part and the body. If you don't remember, the HTML contains only these two tags, all right? The head part is everything that is visual, and the head part is everything that is not visual, so the links we're gonna do with CSS and font awesome. And the body is everything we're gonna add in here to see, okay? Now we're gonna add this meta tag, so this meta char set equals to UTF-8. This is something that we did by standard. And the title here, it's the title that it's going to appear in our tab. So here, we're going to call Picasso painting. We're not able to see this title because this page we're seeing the preview here in the right part, but that's fine. It will be the title of the tag. All right. Now we're going to link in our head. If you take a look, we're going to link our CSS file. So here, the relationship will be style sheet. And the href will be the file that we want to use in our code. So here's styles.css. This is how we're calling our file for CSS. Then now we're going to add a link with font awesome. And font awesome is a library where we can use icons, all right? Like we can see here the final page that we have here this song icon and probably these things as well. So we're going to import from this library. So here the link is the same. The relationship will be style sheet. And the href we're going to add to this link that they are giving to us. So this is the link we're going to use to get the icons. All right. Now we're going to start setting the color of our body. So like we can see in here, the color of our body will be this light dark. All right. So we're going to start adding this color for our body. So we're going to use the body tag. We don't need to add any dot or hash because body is already a tag in HTML. So CSS understands. Background color here. And we're going to use RGB. This number here. So if you don't remember, we already did one project talking about colors here in CSS and HTML. And basically we have some types of ways of writing colors. So we have the RGB, red, green, and blue. So here we want 184 of red, 132 of green, and 46 of blue. And this is the output for us. But we also have other types of colors like hexadecimal, where we use a hash before, and the HSL as well. Now we're going to create the div that will be the back wall. So we're going to create this div in here, this dark brown. All right, we're going to create this div in here. So right now, inside of our body, we're going to build here div, and we're going to give an ID of hash back wall. Sorry, not hash. The hash we're going to use in this style. So here, div ID back wall, and we're going to close the div. And you're going to see that all the formats we're going to use, we're going to build by using divs. So here, we're going to use the hash back wall because this is an ID. And we're going to set the background color to this one. In this case, it's a background color in hexadecimal. Do you see? You have a hash, and we have 6 digits here. 8B, 45, 13. And this will give the color. We're not seeing the color because we have to set the width and the height of our div. So here, if I put width 100% and height of 60%, now we're able to see the div that we just made. Okay, but one thing that is important, we don't want to have this spacing here. Do you see? We don't have this spacing between the margin and so on. So here we're going to set some position from where we want to add. So in here, we're going to continue adding here the position absolute. Okay, so we want to use the absolute value. We want to set top 0. So now if you see, we don't have this spacing anymore. And the left 0 will remove this space as well. So left 0, and now we don't have this spacing. Okay, that's pretty much what we need. Now the next part, we're going to use the z-index. And the z-index is a property that we can let divs in front or behind each other. And in this case, we want to put the brown, this div that it's dark brown, in front of the light brown. So here we're going to use z-index -1. We can barely see the difference, but it's good to be very explicit in what we're trying to do. Now we're going to create a new div that we're going to give the class equals to characters. And we're going to add some things. We're going to start adding some divs inside of these characters, and then we're going to style. So now we're going to create a div ID equals to off-white character. We're gonna see in a bit what all of these divs means, all right, once we start adding. But inside of this off-white, we're gonna work with this part in here that we're seeing. This kind of a hat is a triangle, and this part that we're seeing in there. Then we're gonna add some other divs inside of this off-white because we wanna set some other properties. So we're gonna have the div ID white hat, so we're gonna do the triangle that is in the top, okay? Then we're gonna have the black mask, so here, we're just creating the space in our HTML, but the magic will happen once we start adding the CSS. This project is really good because we can see how powerful CSS is when we add the correct properties, all right? And finally, this table. Oops. Remember to add in the same order they tell us, otherwise you won't pass the solution. Great. Now we're going to start creating some divs. So here inside of the black mask, we're going to create the eyes left and eyes right. So here div class equals to eyes, and we have to add a second property. So here we have eyes and we have left. Eyes, probably we're going to, eyes as we can see in here, oops. Eyes, as we can see in here, we're gonna reuse this property, but here we're gonna be right. So we wanna do some different stylings for right and left, basically. Then we're gonna add some dots. So what are the dots they mean? Is these dots in here that we're gonna build? Okay, so we are gonna create these 5 dots, I believe. So inside of the gray instrument, we're gonna have here div class equals to black dot, and we're gonna copy and paste 4 more times. So here, copy and paste. Great. Like I said, we can't see what are we doing, but now that we're going to work with the CSS, we will see. So we're going to start with the off-white. So we're going to use off-white using a hash because it's an ID. And we're going to start adding the width of the property that we want to work, the height that we want. And now we're going to see the difference because we're going to add this background color ghost white. Okay, so now we're gonna see in here, this is the div for off characters. But we're gonna start adding some things. We wanna do some changes. So we're gonna change the position here to absolute, and we're gonna set where we wanna let this div. So we're gonna set, we want this to be 20% top. Okay, so we did a bit changing in here. And we want to change the left as well to 17.5%. And now it's more to the right. Okay, this percentage of top and left is how far we wanna be from them. Now we're going to work with the white hat. So now we have this div in here that we can see only the background, but now we want to create this triangle here. It's kind of a triangle, right? So we're going to use this ID white hat. White hat. And what do we want? We want to set a width of 0, a height of 0, and we're going to change this border style to solid. Let's see what will be the difference. We can't see much, right? We see here like a dot, but we're gonna change things in a second. Now we wanna set some border width. So basically we're gonna add this border width that will create different size of borders in here. So we're gonna have 0, 150 pixels, 140 pixels, and 180 pixels. So we're seeing here now this part. It's like a rectangle that we're creating, right? Now we want to change, we're gonna make the border for the top, right, and left all transparent, and the bottom we want to add this to be ghost white. So border top color will be transparent, all right? And I'm gonna change for the other ones. So this is for the top. I want to add 4. So this is for the top. We're gonna have the right as well. So here we don't have the border in the right anymore. We want to add in the left as well, so we're not going to have any more. And in here for the bottom, we don't want transparent, we want ghost white. Okay, so this is pretty much what we have. We can't barely see because transparent and ghost white are the same colors, but now we're going to position more to the top, so we can check what is going on with this head. So position absolute. Top will be minus 140 pixels. When we use minus, we're going more to next to the top, not far. And the left will be 0. So this is what we have in our hands. All right. Now we're going to work with the black mask. So black mask, we finished that one. Now we're going to start with the black mask. The width will be 100 pixels. The height will be 50 pixels, sorry, 100% and 50 pixels. And the background color, we're going to use this RGB again. So RGB 45, 31, 19. And now we're creating this space in here. All right. And this is exactly what we're seeing in here. That's great. Now we're gonna give a position. We're gonna set the position to be exactly where we want. So here absolute, top 0, it's not changing anything, and left 0. So we're adding this in case we change the page. We want to keep these properties that we're seeing here right now. And we also want to make sure that the Z index is 1. So this means that we want to make sure that this black mask will be in front of everything that we had before. Now we're gonna work with the gray instrument. So here, gray instrument. And this gray instrument will be the one that we have the dots. All right, so here we're gonna set the width 15%, height of 40%. And now that we're gonna set the color, we're gonna see it appearing. So background color, here RGB, 167, 162, and 117. All right, so here we can see it right now. But we need to position this because we don't want this to be in here. We want to put more to the right. So to do this, we're going to move using the position absolute. The top, we're going to set 50 pixels, and the left, oops, we're gonna set 125 pixels. Okay, so now it's more to the right like we were expecting. And we're gonna set the Z index again to tell that we want this to be in front of the other things that we're gonna add in the future. Now we're gonna set the black dots, okay? So here, now we're gonna style the dots that we see in this part. We wanna set these dots. So right now we're gonna style the width, 10 pixels, the height, 10 pixels, and the background color, this one that we're seeing using RGB, 45, 31, 19. And we're seeing this right now. But these are not dots, right? We want to make them dots, and we want to split them in some parts. So how can we make them dots? We're going to use this border radius to make it rounded. If we use 50%, this means that we want to round 50% of our width and height. So this makes everything in a circle. The display block and the margin auto and margin top, we'll separate the dots in our instrument, in our gray instrument. So here margin top of 65%, and now we can see them separated. That's great. Now we're gonna work with the 10 table and this orange table here that we're seeing. Okay, so here we're gonna use the hash 10 table, and we're gonna start creating the width of 500 pixels, height of 140 pixels, and the background color. That's this orange here that we're using hexadecimal. Okay, and we're seeing here right now. Great. Now we're going to position to the bottom, right? So here position absolute. The top, we want to make this more closer to the bottom. So we're going to give a greater value here. Perfect. And the left of 15 pixels. And that's pretty much what we have. All right. And to finish, we want to add the Z index 1 because we want to put this in front of the other things we're going to add. Okay. And that's pretty much what we need. Now we're going to add a new div that we're going to call after this div of white. And we're going to create a div black character. So now we're going to give a div ID equals to black character. And now we're going to build the other characters that we have, because so far we just built for this part. Now we're going to work with the other ones. So in here we're going to create other 3 divs with these IDs as black hat, and it will be pretty similar to what we did so far. Div ID equals to gray mask, and the last one will be the white paper. Here the names that they're giving is just for the purpose of what they wanted to do, but when you're doing your own code, you can give the name that you prefer. Okay, now inside this gray mask we're gonna add the eyes left and right. We did this previously for the black mask, I believe. So in here we're gonna create this again, eyes left, and we're gonna have the same but right as well. So I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna paste in here, and I'm gonna change here to right. Perfect. Let's move on. Now we're gonna add some icons. So the first thing they want us to use is this FA music. So this is how we add icons. We use the I tag to create these icons here that we want. All right. So in here, we're gonna use the I icon, and we're gonna give the class of the thing that we want to display. So here I'm gonna say FA music. Okay, and we can see here that now we have only one, but I believe we need to add more 4, right? So let me take a look in here. If I check, all right, they want us to give, we want to have 4 icons, and right now we only have 1, so I'm gonna copy 3 more times, and now we have 4 icons. Great. Then now we're gonna start working with the CSS for these new divs that we added. So here for black character, we're gonna have a width of 300 pixels, height of 500 pixels, and a background color of RGB 45, 31, 19. Okay, so now we have this in here, but we're gonna add here for our right part. So we're gonna start positioning right now. To do this, like I said, we're gonna use position absolute, top 30%. So we're gonna see now that it's more to the bottom, and the left 59%. So this will be more than the half of our screen. It will be for this part in here, like we're seeing right now. Then we're gonna work with the black hat. So now we're gonna create this hat in here that it's a great bigger hat than the other one that we have. So here we're gonna have black hat, and the width, it will be exactly the same things as we did for the other ones, but we're gonna change the color. Okay, so here the border style will be the same as we had previously. We won't be able to see anything, but in a bit we'll see what is going on. So like I said here, the border width, we're gonna change what is the size of each size. So 150 pixels, 0, 0, and 300 pixels. And do you see in here? It's creating this part for us. Now we're gonna add the same ideas we did previously for the white hat. So the border top color, we want this to be transparent, and we're gonna do this a couple more times, but for the last one we're gonna change the color. So here it will be top, bottom, and right. The left one, so here I'm gonna change to left. We want this to have this color that we're seeing here, so RGB 45, 31, 19. Okay, so this is pretty much what we have. We're gonna start setting the hat more to the top, and it will be more clear what we're doing. So now to position in the top, we're gonna use the position absolute, and we're gonna use a negative value for the top because this means that we want to be near to the top. So now you're gonna see here this triangle, and the left will be 0. Great, so things are right next to each other. Now we're gonna work with the gray mask. So we're gonna use here the gray mask, and the gray mask, if I'm not mistaken, it will be this part in here probably. So let's see. Now we're gonna set the width of 150